What's up, everybody? This is Lance. I'm the host of the Health and Real Estate Podcast. And today's guest joining me is Katie Harlan. She is the team leader out of the Champaign, Illinois Market Center. And yes, it's Illinois, not Illinois.
Good job.
She's also the host of Through Every Door podcast, which we're going to talk about that. It is super cool what she's doing with that. And Katie just also likes to enjoy a healthy lifestyle, which can be quite challenging in the real estate industry. So we're going to get into all those things. And she's currently in Hawaii. So we'll get into that too. But first, Katie, where did it all begin? How did you get into real estate?
Well, thanks for having me, Lance. Excited to connect with you and your listeners. I have been in real estate for just over 2 years, or just about to hit 2 years. Prior to real estate, I have been in sales for about a dozen years. I have been involved in lots of businesses that I could run from my home that I did in the cracks of my day while I was raising my three kids. So I was a teacher, went to school for teaching. I did that for 5 years, and then I had our oldest and decided to stay home with her. And then we quickly had two other children, and I loved being a stay-at-home mom, but I also needed something for myself. So I became a health and fitness instructor, and I would take the kids to the gym and they'd go in the kids room and I would teach a class, and it was so great. It was like an activity for them, and it was, you know, healthy for me. It was something for me to do outside of being a mom. And then I started coaching women in health and fitness online. And that was a really nice business that I could run, like I said, in the cracks of my day. I did that for 4 years or so. Then I wrote my own fitness program, and that was really fun. I started a podcast that was called Rise and Thrive. So I did a lot of things like that. I coached other entrepreneurs at a certain point. I did some social media work for some businesses. It was all just stuff that was in my wheelhouse, that I was learning as I was going. So I would learn and do, and then I would teach others how to learn and do. And then I found a activewear company that wanted to partner, and I thought, well, this is a great, you know, passive income. I can just wear these clothes I'm already wearing, and I can share my link with people. And that turned into quite an opportunity. So that business, we grew 400% over COVID, kind of like the real estate. And actually, my work with that company directly mirrors my job as a team leader now. It's funny how life prepares you for the next thing.
Mhm.
But we had a team of about 4,000 women. And when I joined the company, there were 300 reps. And at the height of it, we had 100,000. So I was
Wow.
there and pretty instrumental in growing that company. And that was just a wild ride. It was so fun. I learned so much about myself and business, and that those businesses typically have like a 7-year arc. And so I rode that out. And then when I could see, the business is still going, but when I could see that it wasn't doing what it wasn't fulfilling me in the same way, I looked for my next move. My kids were now all in school, so I didn't really need to be home. So I got my real estate license, and that brings me to where we are today.
Awesome. So you said you've been in real estate about 2 years now?
About 2 years, yes. I did it for about a year. And I was really comfortable being uncomfortable in that space. I mean, I never had any business in real estate other than my background in sales. So I just kind of kept my head down and tried to learn as much as I could. And then about a year in, I was approached by our local Keller Williams, the OP. His name's Scott Bechtel, and he sent me, he called me, which is such a great reminder about making calls and the power of making calls. He left me a voicemail that said, "Hey, Katie, this is Scott Bechtel," and I knew of him. I thought, oh, he's trying to recruit me, which he was, but in a different way. And he said, I have an interesting opportunity I'd like to talk to you about in leadership. And that word leadership just like grabbed my attention. If he wouldn't have said that, I would not have called him back. But it was that word, I feel like I was missing that in my
Mhm.
real estate career. So I met with him and started the process, and now I'm the team leader at our market center, which has nearly 200 agents. And I've been doing that for about, let's see, 7 months.
Awesome. So you were an agent first, and were you with Keller Williams or not with Keller Williams?
No, I was with an independent brokerage, and I was doing fine. I think I sold 6 houses. And again, like I knew I had to suck for a while. I knew it was going to be hard. So I was prepared to do, 6 the first year. I thought if I could double it the next year, and then by the third year, I would feel comfortable. That was sort of my plan. And I found it really hard. Like I loved working with people, but I found a lot of the detail work with the contracts and the PIA and some of that, I found I really had to work hard to kind of wrap my brain around it. Turns out details are not my strong suit. So that part of being an agent was hard. Um, but yeah, I think it served me really well for the role I have now, because even though I wasn't a top agent, I do understand what it's like. And I was in the field for long enough to get a taste for what our agents are going through.
Well, that's amazing. I always say at Keller Williams, like if you're showing up, putting in the work, improving yourself, there's always opportunity at Keller Williams. But you were at another brokerage and had proven results and success, and you got leadership opportunity at Keller Williams, which is super awesome. And also, good job. Like you got into real estate, you said a couple years ago. And, that's not the easiest time to get into real estate.
Yeah.
2, 3 years ago, the market really shifted, the interest rates doubled. Yeah,
Yeah.
not the
Thanks.
most fun time to get into it. So,
My
crush it.
family
Six.
made sure to point that out. Like, are you sure about this? And I'm like, you know what? What a better time to learn. Like, I'll learn while it's hard, and then it'll just be easier.
Absolutely. It's only going to get easier and better from here. So,
Yes.
love. So yeah, then you got into leadership. You said about several months ago. Tell us what that's like.
Well, it it's been very rewarding. I absolutely love the work. I love the challenge of it. I love the people I work with. I am still adjusting to working out of my home, because truly, I mean, I was a teacher for 5 years, but even as a teacher, you're kind of an independent contractor. I know people don't
Mhm.
say that a lot, but back when I taught, you're just in your room, it's you and your kids are like your employees, you're the boss of this little group. Um, Anyway, so this has been my first experience truly like working in a corporate environment and having a more traditional job. So that is still a challenge sometimes for me, because I am very much like I control my own schedule very well. But aside from just getting used to some of those differences, it's been a great fit. Like I said, a big challenge. There's a lot of juggling with being a team leader. I think the actual job requirement, or what is expected from a team leader, is way more than what a job can reasonably ask. But I think I kind of like that. I think I like that challenge, and it's made me get really specific and purposeful about working with, having a really great team around me, because you can only do so much alone. So that's been very rewarding too. But yeah, it's going well. I still have a ton to learn, but it's going well.
That's amazing. Yeah, I've heard being a team leader is the ultimate like personal growth. I've heard it's like the ultimate entrepreneurial school. It's the ultimate it's like getting an MBA in like 6 months. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard many team leaders say they've grown the most and learned the most and leveled up the most when they transition from like a top agent to a team leader. They're like, whoa. Because, when you're a top agent, usually it's mostly just you. But when you're a team leader, you have to learn how to manage and motivate others and run teams and do a million other things at once. So,
Yeah. It very
yes.
much feels like a juggling act. It's you've got to be organized, and I consider myself like an organized hot mess. I am very organized in that kind of messy way, but you really have to be, because real estate moves really fast, and so our office moves fast, and if you're not on top of the training calendars and what's coming up, and you'll lose ground quickly, and you'll lose trust from your agents. I found that, like, the more I can, the quicker I can respond to their needs, the more they trust me, the more they bring referrals to me, problems to me, ideas to me. So I feel like the last, 7 months, I really worked on earning their trust, and now I think I have, and that feels really good, because now we're all starting to work. It's like a machine that's working really well together.
Awesome. I love that. So tell us a little bit more about Champaign, Illinois, because I'm not super familiar with it. I know, so I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I have family in Chicago. So I think we would drive through or pass Champaign at some point. I think it's like a
Yeah.
motorway in between. But tell us a little bit about that market, and then also like what's there to do in Champaign?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, are you a Cubs fan or Cardinals?
And neither. I'm not a baseball fan, and St. Louis is
Okay.
such a baseball city.
Yeah. So, okay, we are a big Cubs fans, so it's okay that you're neither. That works. Um, so Champaign is a college town. We're the home of the University of Illinois, and that um, fact alone keeps us rather insulated from what's going on in the rest of the country. So if the rest of the country is up and down, we're really a little more stable, which is really
Mhm.
lovely, because, like I said, the U of I just kind of keeps us there. We've got enough kind of going on to protect us from the rest of that, from
Yeah.
things that are going on in the nation. It's a great place to raise kids. There's a lot of diversity in Champaign. I love the people in the Midwest, in our town specifically, but they're just super down to earth. We're all just doing our best, and or doing our best, and our weather is hard in the winter, so I feel like it gives the people there a little grit. I feel like because of that, we're really grateful for May through October. So it's a great community. I was born and raised there. I think I'll probably live there forever, but I certainly like traveling in the winter. We're in Hawaii right now because it is hard. The winters are hard there, as I'm sure you know, Lance, growing up in St. Louis.
Yes. I'm so grateful that I was born and raised in the Midwest. I love the Midwest. Um, but yeah, I love the beach slightly more. So I spent 32
Yeah,
years in the Midwest. The
you did your
winters I
time.
was yeah, I did my time. I put in my time, and also what gets me is the humidity during the summers. I actually like that. I actually don't like that more than the winters. The
Yeah,
humidity. I get so hot. Like you could literally go outside in the evening at night and you're still just you just walk
yeah,
outside just you can't escape the humidity whether you're in the shade or it's at nighttime. But I
it's
do
very
love the
true.
Midwest. We do have that grit, very hard work ethic, very like
Yes,
family oriented. So very,
yes.
very glad I was raised there. But yes, I do like, and I try not to come home and visit during the winter. My mom was sending me like pictures and texts last week when you guys got hit pretty hard. But luckily you're in Hawaii. So what are you doing in
Yes.
Hawaii?
So my husband works for the University of Illinois Community Credit Union, and there is a credit union conference in Hawaii. We've actually been so lucky to go this is the third year, excuse me. So I mean, I get to go with him on some of these trips, and it's just a blessing. And I'm able to get some work done while he's in session, and then we kind of meet up in the afternoon. So it's great.
Definitely. Yeah, I was just in Hawaii about a month and a half ago in Honolulu. Did my first marathon, and I'm not even
It's
a
so
runner.
amazing.
Yeah. So I
Told my
recommend if
husband
any
about that. I
yeah,
told him about that. I am like so determined to do that. I thought that was the coolest story.
definitely. Yeah, I'm probably gonna do it again this year, and I'm probably gonna get a big group to do it too. So
That's fun.
let's all run a marathon. End of the year, it's Hawaii. Like who doesn't want to do a marathon? And you don't have to run the whole thing. There's no cutoff time. You can literally walk the whole thing. I
That's the
think the
most
person that
appealing thing about it.
yeah, the person that finished last, I think it was like 14 or 15 hours. So and the energy, the vibe, everyone's cheering you on. It's so contagious. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'll add that to my bucket list.
Perfect. So yeah, back to Champaign, your market. Like what's kind of the average price point in Champaign, Illinois?
I would say like 225. So that's probably quite different from your California prices.
It's very similar to St. Louis, so
Yes, yes, very similar to St. Louis. We still are in low inventory. Things are they're starting to they're sitting a little bit longer, maybe like a week and a half longer than they were a few months ago.
Mhm.
But our market center is still doing really well. We had breaking record breaking December, which was just so exciting. I haven't seen the numbers yet for January. I think they come out soon, but yeah, we're doing well. Our market center has almost 200 agents, and we have I think we're at 38% market share in Champaign. So we're
Wow.
definitely, yeah, we're definitely the largest brokerage in our area. And we've had a lot of growth in the last, 6 months. We opened two business centers and we opened a mega agent office. We actually did that all in December. So the leadership team was a little bit mad at me because that was a really lot of work near Christmas, but it's been really fun watching us grow, and we've got our eyes set to grow even more. Growth is contagious, and I really like to tell our agents why we want to grow, why it benefits them. How bringing more agents to our market center just is there's more dollars we can spend on improving the business for them, bringing more speakers and trainers and um, more appeal to our market center. So it's been really fun.
Yeah, you said it. Growth is contagious. And you said you have, I believe, 38% market share. That is massive. So if someone was interested in your market and they weren't with KW, like what are some benefits of joining the KW Champagne office?
So I was with an independent brokerage before, and it was it was fine. I loved the people I worked with. I got mentorship when I sought it out. Everything was available to me. Like I really wasn't feeling um I don't know, left to my own devices. I felt
Mhm.
fine. But then when I came to Keller Williams, it was like I felt like a plant that had been watered. And
Mm.
it's like I didn't know what I was missing. And so I think that is true for so many people. It's like they're doing the thing and they're fine, and it's okay, but we just offer so much support that you don't realize you're not getting until you really are supported. And that's I think that's the very best thing we offer. Now, I will say the word culture. I don't like to use it too much because I think it gets thrown around maybe a lot, but it's so true. Like the culture that we have is just it's warm and welcoming and supportive, and how are you doing, and here's what I did, and how can I help you, and let's grab coffee and I'll share that listing presentation with you. And it's just so collaborative. So I always think like good people attract good people. And the people that our market center started with, I don't almost 20 years ago, were really good people. And so they've just grown and attracted more good people. So that mentorship, that collaboration, the education, the community, all of those are reasons that you should take a look at our market center.
Definitely. I love KW for all those reasons. They literally are ranked with their training. And I learned more at joining Keller Williams within 3 months than I did with a 4-year business degree emphasizing
Wow.
in marketing. Like they teach you real life stuff, like up to date stuff that's happening right now. But yeah, KW teaches you more than just to be the best real estate agent, but also to be the best you, the best
Yes.
business owner, the best community leader, the best man or woman you could be. So that's why I love it. And the culture, that word does get thrown around, but it's real. It's hard to explain the culture from someone looking from the outside in. Like it's something you have to experience and feel. And it's even hard to explain it from the outside, from the inside to someone that's on the outside. So it's truly something you just
It's
have
so
to
true.
experience.
You're so right, and it's very much why I think some people on the outside refer to us as like a cult, because we say some of those words so much that it does give that vibe. But when you're on the inside, you realize, oh yeah, I mean it is really that good. And
Hmm.
to your point, Lance, about teaching KW, teaching you to be the best person you can be. We have a training on Monday, the 6 personal perspectives, which I'm sure you've heard and been to. It's
Hmm.
about like being the best person you could be. It's a full day training about that. I mean, I love that. We talk about real estate, but we talk about life balance and a full life even more. And man, who doesn't want to be surrounded by that?
Definitely. And that's another thing I love about KW is you could invite or other agents at other brokerages are welcome to come to trainings and check it out for
Yes.
yourself and get a feel for the culture and the collaborativeness and versus
Yes.
competitiveness. So that's
You're
another
so
thing I
right.
love. And then just all the communities. Like I'm a part
Mhm.
of several KW communities. Like there's KW Wellness that I believe we met on. There's KW Yoga, there's KW Pickleball, there's KW Clarity if you're like sober or sober curious.
Mhm.
There's just so many different KW communities, some that are also real estate related, like KW Luxury, KW Commercial, just anything.
Yeah.
There's like 30, 40 different communities. So, yeah, do you have any like agent success stories or any fun stories that you want to share about any agents or people in your market center?
Oh, sure. There's so many. I just love our agents so much. But one that jumps out at me, he worked at our local newspaper for now my details kind of get fuzzy. So I hope if
Yeah.
he's listening, I hope he doesn't hold this against me. But let's say 16 years. 16 years he worked at our local paper. I believe he was an editor. He worked all the time. It's a very busy, fast-paced job, and he just wasn't appreciated. Like he wasn't, he just, it's you work, 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 and maybe you get a little raise, and you work, 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 and you get a little raise, but it's just a grind. Honestly, it's just a grind. Um, and then one day he was laid off, like after 16 years. I mean, and like they were cutting. Obviously, newspapers are not what they were. So I think that story is familiar. But when you've put all that time into a job and then you're just gone. So he got his license and started, and the he's been an agent for 3 years, let's say, and the income that he's made is just affording him and his wife and their 4 daughters like so many experiences they didn't get to have before when he was time locked. The confidence that he's grown, the appreciation he has from his team and from his clients. Like I get to meet with the top 20% of our agents in our market center as the team leader. And so we meet quarterly, and I love meetings with him because every time we look at the goal he set and then we look at the goal where he's at, and he's, surpassing his goal every time. And it's more than that though. It's like, yes, he's surpassing his goals, but he is fulfilled. And
Hmm.
watching him be fulfilled and feel, good about what he's doing, having this income and this time freedom with his family, I just love that for him.
Definitely. Yeah, you kind of remind me of something where at Keller Williams, like it's not always about how many homes you sell or how much production you did or how much money you made. Yeah, that's great, but it's really about who you become in that process.
Mm,
Like become, your best self, like a new identity.
yeah.
And yeah, do you have any stories about Red Day? So Red Day is once a year. Red Day stands for what? Renew, energize, donate, I believe. And every Keller Williams office, all 800 plus around the nation, close down on Red Day and do something in their local community to give back. So our office last year, we're in Los Angeles. So we actually did a beach cleanup and cleaned up the whole beach. But what about you all?
Oh, I love that. That's a fun one. Funny enough, Lance, my very first day on the job happened to be Red Day, and I was so overwhelmed. Like, when you start at any company, you're getting millions of emails about like set this up and do connect these accounts, and so I was getting all of that. Like, I think we'd done that the day before, and so I came in on Red Day, and I remember so clearly just really not. I didn't really know what I was getting into, but I just thought, my gosh, everybody's going to be out of the office. What a perfect day for me to sit in my office and get all this stuff done, Like, I won't be overwhelmed. And so our productivity coach, Jeff, walked in, and I kind of verbalized that to him. Like, I'm just a little overwhelmed and I would love to just get this done. And he said, you know what? Just be present. Come do this. This will, this is an important moment for you. Just be here. And so I closed my computer and I went and did Red Day, and we went to different nursing homes in our community. Like, I was so tired. We were pulling up weeds, we were digging, we were spreading mulch. But Lance, it was so fulfilling. It was such a great day. I got to meet people. Um, I think they got to see who I was. I think I gained a lot of respect early on. When you're new, people are like, "Who's this girl? Are we gonna?" They're just not certain. But when they saw me getting my hands literally dirty, digging weeds out, pulling weeds, covered in mulch, I think they got a little taste of who I am, and it was a great first day. Honestly, it was perfect. So Red Day is really special, and again, it's one of those things where I don't think you really get it until you experience it.
Definitely. And I love that the PC coach was like, yeah, just be present and
Yeah,
just come with us. And you got fully immersed in the KW culture on day one.
day
And
one,
I do believe that shows your leadership because you were down in the weeds with everyone else. You could have just
right?
been telling people what to do, but you're like, no, I'm gonna get my hands dirty with you. We're gonna sweat together, we're gonna do all this together. So you led by example. Love it.
Would have If I would have stayed back, I would have gotten caught up, but I never would have had the buy-in that I think I received that day. And I think I would be further behind in building that trust and building those relationships. So as much as I can, I try to say yes, and that would
Mhm.
be a good life lesson. Say yes as much as you can. Of course, protect your boundaries and protect your peace and all of that. But if it's something you haven't done, if it's going to stretch you, try to say yes. The emails
Absolutely.
will be waiting. The emails are always waiting.
So there we could go on and on about all the cool things KW, about all these amazing stories, about all these heartfelt stories. Is that one of the reasons why you created the podcast is so you could tell these stories, amplify your agents, spotlight your amazing vendor partners? Is Tell us the strategy behind why you started a podcast for your office.
Okay, yes. So in my previous job with the activewear company, I had a lot of people approaching me about things I was doing and our team was doing. And so I would share, I would coach and share with all sorts of people, not even just on our team, but company wide. And it occurred to me that there was a more efficient way to do that. So I started recording these trainings on a podcast. And it was just, I felt really kind of smart about it, to be honest, Lance, because it did so many things. It was helpful for retention. It was efficient. So I could just send the link to anybody who wanted, this information. I didn't have to keep repeating myself. It was a system, right? Like, I love turning things that you're doing repeatedly into systems. So a podcast is just a system.
Mhm.
And I like training and teaching. That's in my wheelhouse. That's something I'm very comfortable with, and it brings me joy. So it also, though, was a recruiting tool I could do podcasts about the opportunity that I had and
Mhm.
share it. I would often do podcasts about something that was a little bit outside of the opportunity, but then I'd weave the opportunity in. So people are getting, for example, like a little health and wellness, and then I'd talk about my business. And so I'm adding value, but I'm sprinkling in the recruiting. But it also helped with retention because as we had people on our team who had value to share, which everybody does, I could invite them and highlight them and they could train the company. So it was awesome. I did that for about 2 years. And so when I got to the market center, it just felt like a really natural fit. I already had the system in place, which my advice, if you want to start a podcast, is to just keep it so simple. Like I had to do something that I could repeat very easily because if it's too complicated, I won't do it. So I love that you're doing this on video. I never do it on video because to me, it's like one more component. I have to, like, I look terrible on this video. So sorry, everybody. But if I had to do it on video, I'd have to be ready. My guests would have to be ready. That actually takes a lot of guests out of who will do it. Like they don't want to be on camera. I just had to make it easy. So I even just record it on Zoom with the camera off and then I upload my audio. But what I've done is brought on different agents and it's still very, very young. And finding time to record every week has proved impossible. So that is always a struggle. But I bring on, agents that have been with us for 20 years. I brought on our productivity coach so he could talk about what he does, which is like, a marketing component for him and he can share with his network. I brought on a new agent who she was one of my favorite episodes because she just did such a good job of talking about what was hard, what's going well for her. Like, I think she was so relatable. I recorded an episode by myself last week about how to get your license. And now I'm just sharing that with people as they ask me how to get their license. So again, a system. It's just a system. But it is really nice to highlight our agents. And what I'm trying to teach them is this is marketing for you. Like if you get a podcast episode recorded with me, send that link to your database and say, oh my gosh, I wanted to share this with you guys so you can get to know me a little bit more. This is how I got started. Take a listen. And if nobody, if 4 people listen, that's a win. So it's content for our agents too. So there's just so many. I could just go on and on about why I think it's great, but it's it's been a really helpful tool so far.
Yeah, 100% for all those reasons. It's a training system. Like you just record it once, like, oh, here, I have a podcast episode on that. It highlights and spotlights your agents. You're making your agents look like, the rock stars that they are. So you're
Yes.
sharing their message. And also that makes your agents also become your biggest advocates. You're amplifying their message. They could be attracting people from other brokerages are like, "What? I want to be on a podcast. How come my
Right.
brokerage doesn't do that? How come my
Right.
brokerage isn't spotlighting me?" And then
Right.
could
Absolutely.
use the agents could use that, like you said, to send to their database. And then even if only a few people listen, that's still a win because you're in those people's ear for, 20, 30, 40 minutes. Or even if nobody listens, that's still a touch point to your database and you're showing authority. Like I was just on a podcast. So they're like, oh, dang, okay. He must be
Exactly.
doing something. He must be doing something right.
Exactly. That's
And
exactly
then it
right.
gives
And it's
a chance to promote and spotlight your vendor partners as well, because I'm sure you have a bunch of trusted vendor partners at the office. So gets to shine the spotlight on them as well.
so true. We actually ask our vendors to sponsor the episodes because I have a VA who does the editing. So this isn't actually costing our market center anything. Our vendors pay her, it takes her about an hour to edit it. And so I asked for a sponsor to cover that. And then in, exchange, they get a little cool vendor spotlight in the middle of the episode. But one thing that we are
Mm.
rolling out this year and haven't done it yet, I can't believe it's February. Like, oh my gosh, where did time go? But our we have a tiered partner system, and so it's gold, silver, and bronze, and our gold partners actually get to be interviewed on an episode. So that's again, content for them. They can share with their database. And oh my gosh, what a cool, synergistic kind of relationship there. So, I mean, really, there's so much you can do with it. And my favorite thing about it, Lance, is that, and I know we talked about this on the phone, like anybody, literally anybody can record a podcast, but most people don't. So it's not hard, but most people are not doing it. So you get this instant credibility that maybe you like. I don't really even feel like I deserve it because I think, well, it's not that hard. I mean, same thing with, like, I have my master's, and some people, people are like, "Oh, your master's," and I'm like, it really wasn't hard. Like, it's you just go and you learn and you listen, but most people aren't doing it. You know what I mean? So it's, if you want to do it, and I know, Lance, you are starting an opportunity, right, where you are offering to run this for market centers, which I just think is really
Mhm.
brilliant. Am I able to talk about that?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So, okay, so let me ask you. Yeah, I'll interview you about this. So tell everybody what your plan is.
Yeah, so I started my podcast last year and I just absolutely love everything about it. I love talking to people and I just see the massive opportunity behind it. So mine grew, fairly quickly and I was starting from scratch, like no audience. I'm not a market center. So what's cool with market centers is you all have a pre-built in audience, a pre-built in ecosystem of, you said 200 agents. Then you could tap into their database and that could, be thousands of people. But I love the podcast for several reasons that we already discussed. It kind of systematizes trainings, make it super efficient. It literally just amplifies your agents' voices, makes them look like rock stars, which guess what? Creates retention, makes your agents feel loved and seen and heard and appreciated. So they're not going to go anywhere else. And also, your agents are going to share it because they're going to be proud to be on the podcast. And guess what? All the agents in their network are going to see that and they're like, what? I want to be on a podcast. My market center is not doing that. So it's going to attract agents. It's going to retain your agents. It's going to, you could create better tiers for your vendor partners because get them on a spotlighted episode. And I'm big on YouTube. That's why I do the virtual one like this. And it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
perfect. It doesn't have to be highly polished or pretty. But on YouTube, I love it because YouTube. Do you know who owns YouTube?
You told me and I forget.
Google. So
Yeah,
Google
that's
owns
smart.
YouTube. So everything that's on YouTube, it becomes more searchable, boosts SEO. It pops up on Google. And also, I just learned ChatGPT. A lot of the information and stuff they pull from now is YouTube. So it's
Mm.
like a search engine powerhouse to like highly optimize, you know, search. Also, starting a podcast gives you instant credibility. People are like, whoa, they have a podcast. And it's not the hardest thing in the world. You got to know a little bit of tech. And the hardest part is just being passionate and confident about what you're speaking about, which I love you. I could passionately speak about it. And you just have to be consistent every single week. Hard
Yep,
part every
yep,
single week, new episode. So
that's
yes,
right.
I think it's going to be a game changers for market centers. And also I believe market centers need to lead by example because all the market centers, all the top agents and or coaches and everything at KW, they're telling all their agents social media, social media, social media. It's almost
Right.
surpassing SOI in terms of percentage of where your deals are coming from. But yeah, all the agents should be on it, but why aren't market centers doing it? And that
Yeah,
way they can
yeah,
help their agents with content. And also, a lot of
absolutely.
content like this, I could cut up into and make like 20 to 30 short clips of content. So it's just like it creates a content machine.
Yeah,
So,
I love that. I mean, it is, you are inspiring me to, like, okay, maybe we need to go to YouTube, We'll see. We'll get a little more consistent and then we'll see. But yeah, it is, especially with AI and all the things that it can do. it really makes all of that content generation just so effortless. Like this
Absolutely.
is the hard part, doing
Yeah.
this, and but then AI can break it up and help you use it, and it
Mhm.
can write your post for you and all of that.
Definitely. Have you heard or read of the book X is Easier Than 2X?
Yes.
It's one of my favorite books. It got me completely thinking different. And Linda McKissick, there's like a whole chapter like with Linda McKissick in it, how she like 10x'd her business twice. Once
That's
as
cool.
a real estate agent, and then also once as an OP and like in a market center investor. So it just got me thinking in 10x, it's not about doing, 10 times more of what you're doing, but it's like, how could I do less and get more? And to me,
Mhm.
I see a podcast is that. Like that's the ultimate thing. You're doing less, but you could just amplify and reach so many more people on a podcast. Like if you're making, 10 calls a day as a team leader to agent, recruiting agents or whatever, it'd be impossible to like 10x that every single day sustainably,
Right.
talking to 100 agents. But you could do that with a podcast. You could reach, thousands of agents a month or every single week if you build it to that point.
That's so
So
true.
you just see the power behind it, and there's so much opportunity.
Yeah.
But
I love that.
awesome. Yeah, but let's talk a little bit health now, because I know you live a very healthy lifestyle, and we're not in the most health conducive industry. You could probably find a happy hour, several times a week in real estate industry, probably a couple of a night in LA, to be honest. But
Yeah.
so, how do you maintain
Yeah.
your lifestyle? And yeah,
Well, I that is a great question. I've been doing it for a while, so it is a habit now, and it's something that I crave, and as far as like movement, my body needs the movement for the rest of my brain and my energy to function. As
mhm,
it becomes something that you need. So, and I worked on that for several years. It's not like I've always been that way. So time and consistency, like anything, I think it's taken that. I will say that going from working from home to working in an office has been a challenge in many ways, and one has been my health. And I mean, I was used to being able to get up and sort of go for walks throughout the day, little breaks. If I wanted, if I didn't go to the gym in the morning, I could go in the afternoon, and it's different
mhm,
now. So I've had to be really purposeful with my time. I would say our day, I'm talking about me and my husband, it from like 5 a.m. to about 7 p.m. is just solid. And I am working actively to find a little more space
mhm,
there, because that's hard to sustain. We have three very busy kids, so or we have three teenagers. They're all in all these activities. So my point is that the only time I can go to the gym is at 5:30. Like that is to get it in. It's like the rest of the day is so solid. And so knowing that keeps me going at that time. It's like if I'm going to have that little space for myself, I have to get up early. And so that means that I have to go to bed early so that I can get up early. I mean, it's all, how it's all connected. I pay a lot of attention to how the things I do make me feel so that
mhm,
I'm more purposeful about what I do. So, for example, I don't think anybody loves food more than I do. Food is like a huge motivator for me. I just love trying all the foods and eating all the things. And that means like some bad things, but I pay attention to how it makes me feel so that I can potentially choose better the next time. But for our agents, I really recognize that this industry, like you said, Lance, it's hard to be healthy. So I'm trying to infuse some opportunities for them. So at our gym, I talked to my trainer, and he has designed like a boot camp for our agents who want to participate. It's just $10 a class on Saturday mornings. And it's been really fun because every week I think there's been a new person to join. And
mhm,
so, it's not 200 agents. We don't have 200 agents there, but it feels like it's making a small difference. And if people can kind of get a taste for challenging their bodies and moving, and how starting on their Saturday morning with a workout makes them feel, that feels really good. And I'd like to continue adding opportunities like that to them, and just talking about health and fitness, like, what we focus on expands. So I'd like to kind of put it in front of them more than maybe they were getting before, just so that it's something that they think about because it's being talked about more.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you're talking about it more and inviting them to that boot camp. And I'm sure that's just going to spread to more ideas and more health awareness. So thank you so much for that. And I want to highlight a couple of things you said is you were talking about morning routine. You're like, yeah, if I got want to get up earlier, I got to go to bed earlier. So a lot of times the perfect morning routine doesn't start in the
Yeah.
morning. It starts the
So true.
night or you gotta get good
That's so
sleep.
true. And Lance, I will say, people make fun of you for that. Like, we are endlessly teased for going to bed early. Even last night we're in Hawaii and we were at a dinner and we were talking about being tired. We kind of got teased. So there's peer pressure all the time, and you have to just do what you know is best for you. Like, it's fine if
Mhm.
they make fun of you. It's fine, because you're gonna sleep well and you're gonna feel good tomorrow. Sorry to interrupt you.
You're good. You're also a little jet lagged too. You're what, 3, 4 hours,
Yeah,
ahead of
for yeah.
But yeah, the other thing I was gonna say is like you said, you love to eat food and explore different tastes, and that's fine. What I try to focus on is like 80/20, where it's like
Yes, me too.
80% of 80% of my food is gonna be locked in, organic, like super healthy, and then 20% I'll splurge. I'll eat,
Right.
whatever, some processed food, but I am hyper aware of how it makes me feel. So
Yeah.
it's amazing for 5 minutes, but then when I'm done for the next hour or 2, I'm like, "Why did I do that?" But the more I'm becoming aware of it, the more I'm able to like resist it in the beginning. I'm like, all right, it's gonna be good for 5 minutes, but then I'm gonna be super crappy for 2 hours. So kind
It's
of
so true.
yeah.
That 80/20 rule has been with me for about 12 years now, and it is, I don't know, it's how I live my life. I find it interesting when I'm eating with people and they'll be like, "You're ordering a cheeseburger? That wow." Or like pasta. It's like, yeah, those things aren't bad. it's it's that if all you eat is pasta or all you eat are burgers, it's a balance thing. So I always find that really interesting, like what people think of as bad foods. Just find that kind of interesting. Like, honestly, a cheeseburger, if it's like a cheeseburger that's homemade, there's literally nothing wrong with the cheeseburger. It's actually not a bad macro, if you're using lean ground beef. And I mean, it's bad.
Yeah, and I'm vegan, and there's healthy vegan cheeseburgers too. Like you could get
Yep.
a lot of people eat like the super processed meat alternatives, but I'll eat the super clean ones. So just eat like, stay away from the processed stuff and eat clean 80% of the time and go to sleep early. Who cares if people make fun of you? You're gonna wake up feeling refreshed and all those things, but yes, Katie, this was an absolute blast. And if anyone listening is in the Champaign, Illinois area and you want to connect with Katie or check out the Keller Williams Champaign office, hit her up. All her info will be in the show notes. So thank you so much, Katie. This has been a blast.
Thank you, Lan.
1, 2,